Welcome to Between the Sheets podcasts with your hosts, Dr. Samantha Worthington and Brendan Neal, where we explore midlife and everything in between.
Good evening, Brendan Neal.
Sam. How you going?
I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm always good. Yeah. And you?
Yeah, fantastic.
Good.
Yeah, it's been a good week, and last weekend was great, and everything's come along well.
Oh, yes, you did your big swim.
Yeah.
How did that go?
Well, not big, just
not big
the
for
regular
you.
big. Yeah.
Yeah. How did that go?
Yeah, it was fantastic.
Yeah.
Our local charity event for the special schools here on the Sunshine Coast. And it was postponed from 6 weeks ago when we had cyclonic weather. And yeah, the weather gods turned it on, and it was a little bit challenging. However, it was a beautiful day.
Would you say the weather gods helped you out there a little bit?
A lot.
By giving you a little bit more training time?
Yeah, that too.
You also had man flu.
Oh, yes.
However,
yes.
I must admit that was pretty bad. You were quite sick.
Yeah, I'll say.
Yeah. The weather gods turned things around for you. You got better. You had 6 weeks. Was it 6 extra weeks of training?
5 extra weeks, to get better and get moving.
And did that help you?
Yeah, well, I didn't do any extra training, however.
Okay.
As in,
Nothing
I didn't
all.
up the volume or anything, no.
Yeah, so you didn't do any extra training. However, you train every morning. You gym, you train, right?
Yeah, I train with a group of people, so it's a lot of functional movement and lifting and, big heart rates. And
then you swim.
Yes.
Right, so every day?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, 5 days a week I do those ones. It's a very short swim session though.
It's still a swim session.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the consistency, right?
Yeah.
How did it go?
Yeah, it was good.
Yeah?
Yeah, it was tough. Going into a bit of a breeze, so there's a bit of chop, and against a lot of current. I found it quite challenging.
And you had your son paddling next to you,
Yeah,
Balin.
that was so good.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Does he motivate you?
I don't know if he motivates me.
So he doesn't like shout positive affirmations down to you as you're going?
No, he's
The opposite of, okay.
He's a very quiet young man. In all my training or anything that I do, I certainly, for both of my sons, I guess I do consider them, and I'm leading by example there, definitely.
So what are we talking about today?
Oh, we are talking about decision making, and the effort or the reluctance to make decisions.
Do you think that's more? Do you think that becomes more difficult midlife to make decisions?
Oh, there are probably more considerations when you make decisions.
Okay.
So more inertia to get over. And I guess when I first thought about this topic, one of the things I was thinking about was the couch and homeostasis. Is that right? Homeostasis?
Well, depending
maintaining the same sort of environment and feel and yeah.
On the couch?
Well,
can I tell you something really funny about a couch?
Sure.
Talking about that, we had this little terrier dog. She was the runt of the litter, and my sister saved her like many moons ago.
Yeah.
And obviously my sister then moved out, and my parents adopted the little terrier. Her name was Roxy. And when my parents moved house after many years, Roxy had this little chair that she would always go and sit on with these little cushions on, right? And that was Roxy's chair in the lounge.
Yeah.
And it's actually quite a sad story. However, in hindsight, it's quite funny. So when the movers came and they took the chair, Roxy came running out of, wherever she was, and she stopped in front of the chair to jump onto it, and the chair was gone, and she passed out and had a heart attack and died.
Was you serious?
Dog died.
She ran to jump in the chair. The chair wasn't there.
Yeah. She was so shocked.
Did she headbutt the wall or something?
No, she was shocked. And she had like a bit of a fit and had a heart attack or stroke or whatever, and she died because the couch wasn't there. So how many people do you think that might happen to when they jump on their couch at the end of the day and it's not there? What would they do?
Yeah, well, a couch it symbolizes quite a lot, doesn't it?
It does.
And, as far as comfort, place, position, and
home.
Yeah. This is where you're meant to be, and it's your little safe haven. Like you come home from work or something, collapse on the couch and don't sit in Dad's chair. That's his special chair.
Yes.
And, he watches the sport in there or something, or going back another generation, the news at 6 p.m. or something. Yeah, I would say if you shoved people around in midlife losing their couch or position like that, many would have a heart attack.
Yeah.
Or would react in that way. So I was very interested, and I am always really interested in why. Why do we stay in certain positions as in human people, especially when we get to midlife and we become a bit wiser and we have the choice. You're the master of your own destiny, right? And you should be able to go and do that and change. And
do you think people believe that? And you and I were having this conversation the other day, and I said to you, what do you think is the one thing that inhibits our freedom overall? And we sort of toyed with it and eventually came up with it's our mind.
Oh, so, yeah, you really challenged me in that conversation.
Yeah. Oh, did I?
Yeah. Well, you have a way
of challenging you.
Yeah. You know when I say something and it's not me.
Yeah.
And it's just something that I may have heard or
something.
Well,
you're not conscious, and then you're just answering me with what you've heard. Yeah.
And then you dig deeper.
Yeah.
And maybe that's it. Like a lot of people avoid digging deeper into themselves.
Because what are they going to find?
Yeah, well, what's your internal conversation going on anyway?
Yeah.
So if you're there and not making a decision, it's easy on the outside to sort of palm it off, isn't it? Especially, midlife, and you got kids and they've got things that we say that they really need from us. I just think of all the things where people won't move to a different area or something because they think, I can't take the kids out of school. It's too disruptive. Ooh, and I'm thinking, kids are really good at...
They're resilient.
Yeah. And adapting to environments. Like they're not as fixed as
adults.
Many of us find in midlife.
And maybe that's a good lesson. My daughter moved around many times, when we were in South Africa and here in Australia, because we've lived in 3 different cities in Australia in 6 years. So she's been to quite a few different schools. She's definitely a resilient woman. And I'm 100% sure that's because she had to be. She had to create these tools to make new friends and, connect with new teachers and new communities. If you had to compare that to someone that's been at the same school from year dot to their final year, I don't know if they would have the same resilience in terms of people resilience.
Okay. Can I share something with you?
Yes.
It's a book.
Okay.
Or it's a little bit out of a book.
Okay.
And I read this book once a year, at least once a year. I've gone back and read it. It's an old book. Yeah. And do you have any books or anything that you revisit?
Who Moved My Cheese? My dad gave that to me.
Yeah.
Many years ago, and reminds me of actually something we were talking about today, when stuff changes and you can either stay on that side of the maze and die or adapt.
Yeah.
Every time I read that, something new comes up, and that's something my dad taught me.
Adaptability. How high would you rate that as a life skill to help you navigate midlife?
You can navigate midlife without a high level of adaptability. However, how much joy and happiness will you have?
Oh, okay, so it's an integral key to joy and
happiness. I believe that, yeah. How many people have you coached where they are not adapting to their new situation? And again, that's the limitation of their own mind.
Yes.
And because they're not adapting, they can't be happy. They just can't find any joy. And that goes deeper, right? That's something that they believe they don't deserve the joy deep down inside. And when you say that to someone, the first thing someone will say is, that's absolute nonsense. Of course I believe that. However, it's very clear from the outside, when you're coaching, when you're counseling someone, where their limits are. And a lot of the time they are in their own way.
Yeah.
Yeah. So adaptability would be a high requirement for someone that wants to have a fulfilled life and a happy life. If you don't want to adapt, you'll be miserable.
Right.
Because things are always changing.
This book is called Illusions, The Adventures of a Reluctant Messiah.
Oh, now just for all the people that are listening to this and not watching it, right? Yeah. It is a very worn book.
Very old and worn. It is by Richard Bach, the same guy who did Jonathan Livingston Seagull, which many people may have read. And I actually find this book more interesting. And I suspect that this book is probably about 50 years old.
You took the wind out of my sails there.
Really? Why so?
Yeah. My mother used to read that book to us.
Wow. There you go.
Yeah. Okay, read us your passage.
I'm going to read this. This is it's very interesting. The front of the book is like someone's handwritten diary. And it's like a little...
Let me see.
It looks like little Bible verses, sort of.
Yeah, okay.
And that's how they've structured it. However, it's just a little bit, and I'm going to read this. The master answered and said, "Once there lived a village of creatures along the bottom of a great crystal river. The current of the river swept silently over them, all young and old, rich and poor, good and evil, the current going its own way, knowing only its own crystal self. Each creature, in its own manner, clung tightly to the twigs and rocks of the river bottom, for clinging was their way of life, and resisting the current, what each had learned from birth. But one creature said at last, 'I am tired of clinging. Though I cannot see it with my eyes, I trust that the current knows where it is going. I shall let go and let it take me where it will. Clinging, I shall die of boredom.' The other creatures laughed and said, 'Fool, let go, and that current you worship will throw you tumbled and smashed across the rocks, and you will die a quicker death than boredom.' But the one heeded them not, and taking a breath, did let go, and at once was tumbled and smashed by the current across the rocks. Yet in time, as the creature refused to cling again, the current lifted him free from the bottom, and he was bruised and hurt no more. And the creatures downstream, to who he was a stranger, cried, 'See, a miracle! A creature like ourselves, yet he flies. See, the Messiah, he's come to save us all.' And the one carried in the current said, 'I am no more Messiah than you. The river delights to lift us free, if only we dare let go. Our true work is this voyage, this adventure.'"
So why does that passage speak to you so much?
When I first read that, and the rest of the book is quite, for me, quite moving. It's about paradigms and, well, the way I read it, it's about paradigms and the way we see the world and the way that we see possibilities or that we don't see possibilities and the way that we cling to limitations. So that little creature, little tiny thing that let go, showed quite a bit of faith. And it also went against what everyone was doing, that struggle, that clinging, that holding on. To me, that represented so much negative grind in life, and just that ability to let go, get in the flow and rise above whatever place you were in, that you were miserable in.
So it also, for those ones clinging, is a form of safety because that's what they know. That creature that let go and didn't know what was next. Unfortunately, as humans, that's what our biggest flaw is. We live in fear and then we cling to what's familiar, what's safe. If I do this, that's what I'm going to get. It's like people that are stuck in jobs they don't like, that are slowly killing them. As long as I show up every day, Monday to Friday, and I do X, Y, and Z, I'll get paid. And that means I can go and get food or pay for my kids' dance classes or et cetera, right?
Buy my jet ski.
Yeah, whatever.
Motorbike.
Whatever. If you have a look at the general population, there's a very small percentage that are buying jet skis, beautiful boats, beautiful houses, extra wealthy or the ultra wealthy. The majority of the population are just doing the grind so that they know what they get, which makes them feel safe. So I'll go to the same restaurant because I know that if I order that food, I won't be disappointed. I know what I'm going to get. I'd rather be safe and not disappointed than free and full of regret. And that's where people play every single day. Unfortunately, that's how society's rolling at the moment. If you do decide to do something like that, everyone will tell you, you want to make a decision, you will regret it later. You will regret doing that. What about the people that rely on you? What about your responsibilities? And you said that's why in midlife it becomes so much more difficult.
We've had a few interesting conversations these last few weeks about different elements of that. And I guess the really good thing is when we talk about this and discuss potential podcast topics and everything, generally it's coming out of something that is not going right in my life. Because you've got it all sorted.
Now we know that's not true.
Yeah. Or it's an aspiration to do something more. And, I'm dealing with some frustrations and going, well, why is my mind behaving like this? Or why am I behaving like this? And what's holding me back? When I talk about that before, on the couch and stuck on the couch, I don't mean like a lazy person on the couch necessarily.
Yeah, however, metaphorically.
Yeah, a person in a routine. It's all your habits that create your lifestyle. So
I wrote a book about that.
You did.
I did.
Yeah, those habits, you can create them so that it removes a whole heap of decision making and you just create your own, here's my minimum standard and here's what I'll do. And so you do all these things and you pick different things and well, you actually say it in your book because I have read that and have methods or sort of guides to follow on, hey, if you choose this thing and start and you ingrain that into your lifestyle and it takes that decision-making mode out and next moment, you can turn around after a period of time and you go, oh, this is just what I do.
Yeah.
And the benefit from that is this great upside, whether it being healthier or in a better financial position or, creatively more fulfilled. When people have their midlife obligations or responsibilities, is it a case of avoiding the questioning of where I'm heading because I can get myself so busy and I think I'm productive or think I'm doing the right thing.
Oh, busy doing nothing.
However, I'm on a wheel, like I'm a mouse on a wheel, like I'm taking the kids to sport and I'm really throwing myself into that and I'm doing the right thing. I'm working harder at work and trying to put in extra effort so I get a little bit further in work or get a better result there, better career milestone. And, this is what we're meant to be doing and we're just paying off a house and without any real questioning of like, is this what it all is? And when you
does
talk
this
about
make me
regrets,
happy?
When you talk about regrets, they normally hit much further down the track. Yeah. When you lose all those responsibilities or things are off your hand and you hit a health issue or all of a sudden your body's not good enough to go travel and hike around New Zealand or the Alps or something.
And it's always in hindsight, right? Regret is a hindsight thing.
Yeah.
So you have no idea until you're there and you go, oh, I shouldn't have done that. I shouldn't have not trained.
Can you tell me what's happening with my brain?
Okay.
Well, not mine, but try to. So on the weekend, I went up in the boat for this swim and it's out in the ocean and there's a little island about 1 kilometre and a bit offshore. And normally for these swims, I might start really early in the morning and do a big swim before I get to the start. And it's usually dark. And then I'll wait around for everyone and then I'll do the proper swim with everyone.
I really wish I had my notepad now because I'd be
writing.
Oh, yeah. Into your file it goes.
This year has been a bit ordinary on the ocean swims. The ocean's been in terrible condition, right? It's been pretty rough here for quite some time. And I haven't actually done any ocean swimming since the event in May last year. So it was like over a year ago. It was like 13 months.
So which was the one you did in May last year?
I did a river swim from origin to ocean.
Okay.
Yeah, so 27 kilometres or so. And then I did this event again, the annual event for the special schools here on the coast, which is a 10-kilometre ocean swim. So anyway, doing that on the weekend, and I was on the boat and it was freezing cold and I had my son to paddle, but it was too early for him to hop in the water. The sun wasn't even up yet. However, there was light, right? It had hit the horizon. So we were getting light and the sun's behind us. And we're over a kilometre offshore and I'm ready to jump off the boat just to do a warm-up swim and swim into shore. So I'm by myself. No one's in the water. Water's black. You know, it's about 27 metres there of depth at least. And I know that swimming into the shore, 400 metres offshore, there's a row of baited lines, shark eradication scheme. Yes. You can tell I really support that. In my head, I'm freaking out. I know that if I had done a whole heap of ocean swims, as I normally would have, even just little ones, I would be more familiar with the water and I would be more at ease. However, I'm standing there and I'm like, it dawned on me. I'm like, it's been a year since you've swum in the water, like in the ocean. You haven't really been doing a lot of training. The water's really black.
So you're telling yourself all of these reasons why?
Well, I'm just looking at it and I'm like, I didn't want to jump in.
Okay.
Freezing cold. The wind is, the ocean would have been warmer. Like it was warmer to jump in and get started. However, I'm standing there on the edge of the boat and I had a different guy helping me out this year, a different skipper and a different boat. And he's like, oh, I can drive you all the way in and you could swim in, you know, because there wasn't much swell or anything. And I'm just like, no, you can't do that. However, what is it? What's happening in my brain? Why is there, I'll call it an irrational fear, because I have swum on the outside of every shark net here on our coast. So I've swum the whole length of the coast. I've swam overnight. I've seen plenty of sharks in the water.
You've been hit by a shark.
Yeah, I've had one hit me. Yeah, except every time I surf or swim in the water, I will think of them.
Okay.
Well, they won't necessarily stop me or freak me out completely.
Right.
However, this time, like on Saturday, I'm there on the edge and it took me a good 4 minutes before I jumped in the water. Like my son's going, what are you doing? I'm like, you know, just watching.
As he sits on the boat.
Yes, staying warm.
Yeah.
So what's going on in my head?
Well, you know, I think you're unstable. Well, is it really an irrational fear? There are sharks in the water. You know that because you've experienced them. They are baiting them 400 meters off the shore. So it's not necessarily an irrational fear. There are definitely sharks in there, and in Australia, people do get eaten by sharks. It's totally rational. It happens. In your brain, connecting that overcoming of that fear is tied to a reward for you, and that's why you do it. So what is the reward for you to overcome that fear? When you say to me, if you had been in the water in the last year, you would feel more familiar with it. You would just be activating neural pathways of tools, of coping mechanisms to deal with your fear, to get you to the reward that you want to get to. Those neural pathways would have kicked right in as soon as you hit the water.
Yeah, that familiarity and just starting to swim and the beautiful feeling you get from swimming in the ocean. Yeah,
your amygdala or your reptilian brain is screaming at you as you're about to jump in, and it's like, that's not safe, right? That's a rational fear. From when you're in the womb, that amygdala has been trying to keep you safe.
Right.
That's its job. And you are bypassing that by going into the front part of your brain, right, your prefrontal cortex, and deciding that, no, I know that I'm afraid. I've seen the sharks. I've been hit by a shark before. However, that reward for me, what I'm going after, the reason why I'm doing this, overrides my fear. And you're willing to take the chance because you have a reward at the end of that process. So what's the reward for you?
Well, that swim in particular is supports the awesome kids and families of the special schools. I've been pretty active in that charity for 18 years. I've been a participant in that swim. It's been going for about 23 years or so, and certainly encourage a lot of other people to get involved. And ultimately, it just brings about a whole heap of awareness and compassion. A lot of love goes out for those kids and the families, and also the people who create those schools and that community to support them.
That reward for you is the contribution to community and being part of something bigger. And we're designed to do that. Gift of the givers.
Yeah.
They go into war-torn countries where they could get bombed any second. And everyone going into those disaster areas to help other people, they know they could get killed. They know there could be another earthquake and they could die. They know that they could get killed by bullets or bombs or whatever the case is. And they do it to contribute to humanity, to contribute to society, to be part of something bigger. That's the reward.
Applying that same logic or that same process to someone, let's say we've got someone in midlife who's considering a career change, or it's just like down and out and they're like, I don't like this job anymore. What am I doing? And they are fairly content or comfortable, but not content. Can you walk us through that as well? Like what's going on in the mind?
I want to add something to that. A lot of the time, change is thrust upon us.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Not chosen.
Often not. If you're talking about midlife, we could be looking at things like the loss of your parents or losing your job or your partner passes away or your partner leaves you or your children move out of home. You know, now you have an empty nest. So there are a lot of changes that happen, especially at midlife, that are not by choice. So we're talking about changes that happen that are thrust upon us and then changes that happen by choice. And I think that when you ask me, you know, what's going on in our brain, again, you're going straight back to that reptilian brain.
Yeah.
And when things are thrust upon us, we normally have that nervous system response. So it's either your, you know, fight, freeze, or flight. And there are a few others, right? There's these survival modes that we go into. And that's how we learn to cope with change. Sometimes if we haven't developed those strategies through choice, those tools through choice, then our way of coping with change that is thrust upon us, like our partner walking out or losing our job, we end up using substances or something outside of ourselves that's more destructive. What's happening to our brain is fear on both sides. When you make a choice, you're still scared, you're still fearful, you still want to be safe. When we're born with two fears. That's it. The one is the fear of heights and the other one is of noise, loud noise. That's all we fear. They brought these pythons into like a daycare and these little babies were playing with them and picking them up, and they were videoing how these little toddlers and babies were not afraid at all. In fact, they were inquisitive.
Yeah.
And they were picking up these snakes and like looking at them and like squishing them, poking them. And the parents were in another room watching what was going on, and they were absolutely beside themselves, right? Because that fear is learned. As a baby, they don't know that they're dangerous.
So the pythons weren't big enough to eat the kids.
No, they were pretty big. I mean, they were pretty, they were huge.
Okay.
They could absolutely have like coiled around a baby pretty quickly. However, like that wasn't the case, right?
Okay.
We are a culture and a society that thrives off fear of loss, fear of rejection. They had people line MRI scanners and they did like this little game where they thought other people were lying in scanners as well, and they were all playing a ball throwing game and they would throw to each other. Yeah. And however, there weren't any other people on any other scanners, right?
Yeah.
And what they did in the experiment is those other two people on the screen that they thought they were throwing the ball to stopped throwing the ball to the actual participant of the study. Okay. And they were rejected. They felt rejected. And the same area of the brain that lights up, that's activated with actual pain, physical pain, was activated when they were rejected. So we actually feel pain.
From rejection.
From emotional loss, from change that creates any type of loss. Or change where we are rejected, or we put ourselves out there and we get rejected, or we lose anything, even if it's good for us, we still feel pain, and it activates in our brain as an actual physical pain. And you know what else was amazing about this? There were two things that were incredible. The more that participants spoke about being rejected, the more activated that part of the brain was. So the more
they felt more pain.
They felt more pain
by talking about it.
Yeah. And then when the neuroscientists gave the participants Tylenol, like for a headache, that part of the brain deactivated. So
Really? Okay. Yeah.
So we actually feel physical pain or we experience those losses or rejections when we try and change as actual physical pain. So we're scared of it. We don't want to experience pain. We're designed to be safe, warm, comfortable, fed, familiar. Yeah. That's what we have. So we fear pain.
Yeah.
However, we don't grow if we don't have growing pains. That's what's happening in our brain. And that's when change is thrust upon you and when you make change. So you actually have to activate your conscious brain or your prefrontal cortex and make a decision that you know it's going to be painful. You know that you're going to lose something, even if it's not good for you. You know that you may be rejected. You know that you might, feel a really intense pain if you make the change. However, to consciously decide to change, you have to activate a completely different part of your brain.
Right.
Yeah.
So
and that takes practice.
Yeah. You and I have been exposed to a fair bit of marketing.
Yes.
Yeah. And certainly the skills or the tweaks behind it to elicit behaviour from consumers. And that's something you've researched on quite a bit. Can fear, and fear is used considerably in that, can fear be used as a positive motivator?
Some people fear staying the same.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Fear of having regret. Fear of being mediocre.
When you think of motivating people around you, people you love, or,
fear of
children,
the wooden spoon,
partner, you see fear being, let's say, misused to control people, like through influence or in partnerships. I see it in educational settings. I've actually got a teaching degree and I did a little stint when I was very young.
Every day we learn new things about you. Yeah.
And
what else is in that box, Brenda Neal?
It'll come out slowly. Slow reveal. And, I recall witnessing and looking at lots of teachers and their styles and however, looking at them as people, as humans, and quite often the styles they had with children would carry on over to their relationships with other adults or people in their lives.
Or the relationships they have with adults carry over to their relationships with kids.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. The other way around.
So I've seen fear used as a tool to control or elicit or force particular types of behaviour.
That's just bullying.
Institutionalised bullying.
That's just bullying.
Yeah.
And that doesn't stop at school. Bullying carries on into organisations in the workplace.
Yeah.
Yeah. And your boss, directors of organisations can be the biggest bullies. Absolutely. Doesn't just stop at school. Doesn't stop when we're kids. Yeah. And I think what happens with bullies is people have learned to follow a habit where they don't feel that they can speak up, and that's a self-worth issue.
Yeah.
And that's when bullies thrive in environments like that as adults.
Yeah.
And that is taught to children. So if you've got kids that you say, oh, you can't accept that, even from an adult, right? There's a difference between discipline and bullying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's the opposite to bullying then? And that, like
nurturing.
Because I was thinking love, and I'm going, how does a educator, like say a person who runs a whole school, show love?
They can nurture.
And well, immediately, there was a headmaster here on the Sunshine Coast, and I thought he showed love. Yeah, he was also a lecturer at university for students who were wanting to become teachers. And I thought he shared a great philosophy and example of how you could be as someone loving and getting children to strive and sort of stretch themselves and be, the best version of a human being they could.
It has to be intrinsic. So in terms of change.
Intrinsic, okay.
Yeah. And exactly what you've said there. So it has to be intrinsic. In terms of change, whether it's thrust upon us or whether a change that we decide, when we feel, and this is, 101 in neuroscience, when you make the decision, as in I've made the decision, and that's what counselors and coaches do. They will ask you these questions until you have the dance of insight and you decide you can do it. Yeah. No one can tell you. You have to decide. So when you've got leaders like that and environments like that have nurtured you to believe in yourself, that's when change happens. So as scared as you were on the edge of that boat about to jump off, you believed that you could do it. You believed you would be okay. And that self-belief is what makes you the endurance athlete that you are, makes you the man that you are. And that's what you're teaching your boys. It's not necessarily all those habits or those behaviors that comes, right? You're teaching them to believe in themselves, that they can do it. And that is priceless. So whether it's thrust upon you, the change, or whether you choose it, if you believe that you may experience a shark attack or fear or loss and that physical pain from loss, and you're still going to come out better, stronger, and you believe in yourself, then the change is easier. You can do it.
Do you think there's more motivation or more incentive for intrinsic rewards than extrinsic? And just so I've got it right, an extrinsic reward might be, hey, if I jump across and change that job, I get a signing bonus, and that signing bonus is going to be enough for my jet ski.
Well, that will be extrinsic.
Yeah, that's extrinsic. That's what I mean. It's an object. It's something given to you. So, from a young age, when you say it's taught or something, like from an educator level, there's many extrinsic rewards. You go
Gold
and compete something, here you go, here you get a medal. Everyone gets a medal for crossing the line. You answer the question, you come up here and get a jelly bean or a chocolate. Yeah.
However, what do you feel when you win?
Yeah, so this is the intrinsic part.
Right.
Yeah, so you feel like value. You've done something good.
Yeah, you feel good.
You've achieved.
Yeah, well, you have an endorphin rush, right? Yeah, and that's a dopamine rush, and that's short-lived. It doesn't stay in our system.
Okay.
So we become addicted to dopamine. You're addicted to dopamine. And every time you do something like that and you push yourself and you win or you achieve it, you get another hit of dopamine. It doesn't stay in your system. So you're looking, what's the next one, what's the next one, what's the next one, right? And that's healthy, other than, someone switching on a screen or taking a substance, or that's an unhealthy dopamine addiction.
So for the person sitting on the couch who may not be feeling like they're getting as much out of life as they want, and that fear has, those little elements of fear have kept them in that safety zone.
It's paralyzed them.
Yeah. Is it worthwhile to think of the intrinsic rewards for making a change, as in that whole journey of making a decision and changing and maybe bettering yourself to get a different job, for example?
I think some people, or the majority of people in midlife, their intrinsic win or motivation is safety.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. And
security.
Security. By the time we get to midlife, we've experienced some hardships for sure, and you don't want to experience that again.
Yeah.
So now you're more cautious than you were maybe when you were 20, right?
Yeah.
I think if you are doing the work on yourself, if you choose that, and also remember, when people have gotten to this point in their lives, in midlife, sometimes they're drained and tired. And I've said this to you a million times. You will only change when the pain of staying the same is more than the pain of the change. You're going to experience pain both ways. You can't avoid it. However, if you stay the same, let's say the pain level is a 10, instead of changing and that pain level may be a 7. Once that happens, once you make that decision that the pain level is less to change than to stay the same, that's when people change. That's when they choose to change.
Okay, so let me say that to myself. When the pain of staying the same becomes greater than the pain to make a change,
Right.
then that's when you'll effectively be forced, or
Choose intrinsically.
you'll choose the intrinsic change.
Yeah. And that's the only way for it to occur
Yeah.
out of choice.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Wow.
That was a good one. That was deep.
Yeah. I think that rounds us off. We could have a whole discussion there about, for some reason, it always falls on relationships. Yeah.
Or, being eaten by sharks.
Yeah. Hey, I think that's sort of the same.
Yeah.
When we get back to apps, that's the deal. Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, Sam, it's been great. Another fantastic week.
Thanks, Brendan.
Yeah. So for everyone else, Between the Sheets, exploring midlife and everything in between.
See ya.
See ya.